I was about to start this, even though I look young and Irish. I was actually born in China many years ago, when China was a bigger and better and more xenophobic North Korea. I was born a rebel, a rule breaker who don't look at rebel kindly. In high school, we were not allowed to wear jeans because they are the symbol of the decadent American way. I had no idea why it is so, because I later find out that jean is really working class garment, but that was how we were taught. And I was the first one to wear jeans to high school. And in college, we were not allowed to fall in love. And I did the most tabooish thing at the time. I dated a girl for the first time. Actually, for the first time in my college, I'm the first one who ever dated publicly a girl. So you shouldn't be surprised what I did next. In 1989, I was involved. In fact, I was a student leading a protest movement to demand freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and freedom to elect our representatives. The Tiananmen Square movement, some of you may have heard of it. Many years ago, that's how old I am now. That didn't go down well with the then paramount leader, Deng Xiaoping. And after about 4 or 5 weeks of tussle between student protester and the government, he ordered troops to clear our students off the street of Beijing. We were not afraid at the time. We were so young, we were not afraid because we watched TV. And we thought we knew how this would be done, right? Soldiers in riot gears and maybe batons would go in and water cannon would be used. At worst, rubber bullet, and students would be carried away kicking and screaming. We were very young then, and we were adopted children of our parents, and we were very good at kicking and screaming. So we have good confidence in ourselves. And that night, before all the things happened, students were split into 2 groups. The first group would go on street to block the soldiers until 12 p.m. And the second group would go replace them at 12. I was to lead the second group. And in June 3rd, 1989, at about 11:30, I was about to lead the second group and leave campus to go to the street, and I heard firecracker from afar. Bang, 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 pop, pop, bing, bang, bang, pop. Or was that gunfire? And about 20 minutes later, a student from the first group ran back to school. His face was pale like a sheet of white paper. His breathing was heavy like a racehorse, and his eyes were frozen like a dead fish, and he muttered the unbelievable, at least in our mind, the unbelievable. They used real bullets on us. I saw my classmate gunned down. I stood there dumbfounded for about 5 minutes until my girlfriend at the time nudged me out of my stupor. Michael, you must go. Michael, you must go, because you're a leader here. They will go after you. I thought it was a good idea, so I go home. There was just a little distance between home and school. It was like George Mason and Houston, Texas. Normally, it took about a day of train ride, but the day after the crackdown on student movement, all communication and transportation were halted. So I had to go by foot and hitchhiking. And also it was like pre-cell phone time. So I had no way to tell my parents that I'm okay. I survived that. So they didn't know if I survived or not. And 3 days into my trip, I heard from radio that the authority has drawn up a list of 24 student leaders who were on the run. I listened to the list carefully and I was on the run, but I was not in the list. Who do they think I am? I'm chopped liver? For what I've done, I couldn't believe I'm not in the list. I concluded that I must still be in some list. They just wouldn't tell me, and they must still be going after me. And 7 days later, I was finally at the door of my parents' home, and I began to hesitate if I should knock at the door. Are there soldiers that has occupied my home already and waiting for snatch me? I was wondering and hesitating, and the door swung open, and someone jumped out and grabbed me, and yelling at me, I got you, I won't let you go again. And I was startled, and I screamed, and I yelled back, you hurt me, Grandma. My parents took me inside and locked me in their bedroom and wouldn't let me out again. So I was grounded for weeks, and during the time I had the time to think about my future, and I thought my future was definitely not in China. And I heard of a place called the Land of the Free and Home of the Brave, where no rules need to apply. I wanted to go there. There were 3 options at the time, right? The first option was to swim across the shark-infested water to Hong Kong and take it from there. And actually, some of the student leaders did that. I thought it was not a good idea. The second option was to call a human trafficker, or what we call a snakehead. And for a cool $20,000, I could be sent to the US in a cargo container to a Walmart store near you. With all the chopsticks and pet and all the things that usually sell here. I didn't think that was a good idea as well. And so that led number three, option 3 was to come here legally as a student. But at the time, my parents, their combined income was $300 a year. They could never afford to send me to the US. So for the next 2 years, I'm not going to bore you how much obstacle I overcome. But in July 1992, I was finally able to come to the US on board a plane with $80 in my pocket and an American dream. Actually, more than that, because I received a scholarship to study mathematics in Carnegie Mellon University. That scholarship covered everything, covered my room and board and tuitions, and even give me a stipend of about $1,000 to cover my living expense. So it's like a pie from sky that literally falls onto my lap. Where I am. So I still remember vividly at the port of departure, my grandma grabbed onto my hand, hold onto my hand so tight, as if she would never want me to leave. But she said to me, go, make a good life for yourself. And that was the last time she spoke to me, because she passed away 6 months later when I was in the US. And 20 years later, I can tell my grandma, who I'm sure is in heaven, Grandma, I'm indeed living a great life in my new country. Except one thing though, every other weeks or so, I bring home a big, fat traffic ticket. You see, some habits still die hard. I still need to break some rules. Thank you.